Hey everyone! Welcome back to another episode of Senior Year Survival with Patrick and yours truly, Donna. Today we're talking about something that has been stressing a lot of people out lately: FAFSA and financial aid. If you're a senior or even a junior, stick around because this info is going to help you get your game plan together.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't fully understand FAFSA until last week. It's one of those things that sneaks up on you. And if you don't get it right, it can cost you. So what's the first thing everyone should know?
The first thing? Timing is everything. Everyone's always like, I'll deal with FAFSA in January or February. But nope. You need to start way earlier, like October. I know, it sounds crazy, but trust me on this one.
Wait, what? I thought the FAFSA deadline wasn't until way later in the year. You're telling me we need to start before Halloween?
Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you're in Maryland, for example, you want to get that FAFSA in by the end of October. The earlier you submit it, the better your chances of getting aid, especially before the money runs out.
Got it. So for someone who has zero idea what FAFSA even is, like I did last week, can you break it down?
Of course. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's the form you fill out to see how much financial aid you're eligible for. Things like grants, work study, and even loans. But here's the thing. There's some big changes this year.
Changes? What kind of changes?
Yeah, so before it was called the Expected Family Contribution, EFC, but now it's called the Student Aid Index, or SAI. Same idea. It tells schools how much your family can contribute to your education, but the name change is meant to avoid confusion. It's not what your family has to pay. It just helps determine your eligibility.
All right, so SAI. Lower number, more money, right?
Exactly. The lower the SAI, the more financial aid you can get. That's why timing is everything. If you apply early, you'll have a better shot at getting aid before the pool starts drying up.
So let's talk about Maryland for a sec. You mentioned MHEC earlier. What's that all about?
MHEC stands for the Maryland Higher Education Commission. They manage state-specific scholarships and grants, but here's the kicker. You have to complete your FAFSA first to be considered for MHEC aid.
So FAFSA is like the prerequisite for everything else?
Exactly. And here's something a lot of people don't know. MHEC has a ton of scholarships, like the senatorial and delegate scholarships. They just changed the application process this year, so you can't just wait for it to happen automatically. You have to actively apply through their online system now.
Wait, so it's not just about filling out FAFSA anymore? There's an extra step with MHEC?
Yep, exactly. You finish your FAFSA, then apply for the MHEC scholarships online. And these scholarships can be huge, like thousands of dollars, depending on where you live in Maryland.
That's wild. So how do we stay on top of all this? What's the timeline look like?
Okay, here's the game plan. First, get your tax documents in order with your parents. Then, knock out the FAFSA as early in October as you can. Once that's submitted, move on to the MHEC applications.
And all of this needs to be done by Halloween?
Yep, end of October is the deadline. It may seem early, but trust me, getting ahead of the game is the best way to avoid the rush.
Got it. And you mentioned SATs earlier. How does that tie in?
Oh, definitely. The SAT is huge for scholarships. Many of those MHEC scholarships have SAT score requirements. And a higher SAT score can actually earn you more money, so it's worth putting in the effort.
Wait, you're saying a higher SAT score means more scholarship money?
Yep. Colleges and scholarships often use SAT scores as a factor in how much aid you get. For example, a 3.5 GPA with a 1,300 SAT score might get you $5,000 a year, but if you bump that SAT score to 1,400, you could get $8,000 a year.
So 100 extra points could mean $3,000 more per year. Over 4 years, that's like $12,000.
Exactly. And don't forget, you can retake the SAT if you need to. Most schools take your highest score.
When should people take the SAT if they want to meet that October FAFSA deadline?
If you're a senior, get it done by October at the latest. You need to get those scores back in time to include them with your applications. If you're a junior, aim for the spring and then retake it senior year if necessary.
And this is a lot to juggle. Can you walk us through that timeline one more time?
Absolutely. Here's your financial aid checklist. 1. Take the SAT ASAP, ideally by October. 2. Gather your tax info with your parents early in October. 3. Complete FAFSA as soon as possible in October. 4. Once FAFSA is in, apply for MHEC scholarships online. 5. Aim to have everything done by Halloween.
So get it done early and you're ahead of the game for financial aid.
Exactly. That way, while everyone else is scrambling in February. You're just waiting to hear back about your scholarships and aid.
I love that. Get ahead, don't get behind.
Exactly. And those MHEC scholarships are a big deal. They can really make a difference in making college affordable.
And you can't be considered for those without filling out FAFSA first, right?
Correct. FAFSA is your golden ticket. It opens up the doors to federal aid, state aid, and even institutional aid from colleges.
If anyone listening feels overwhelmed by all of this, where should they start?
Don't stress. Start with the FAFSA website, fafsa.gov. They have guides, FAQs, and video tutorials. Your school counselor is also a great resource. It may seem complicated, but it's totally doable.
And don't forget that new term, SAI instead of EFC, right?
Yep, just remember, ISHA, Student Aid Index. It's not what you have to pay, it's just what colleges use to determine your eligibility.
All right, let's wrap this up with a few key takeaways. Get FAFSA done early, apply for MHEC scholarships, take the SAT, and get everything submitted by Halloween. If you can do that, you're in a good place.
Exactly. You'll save yourself a ton of stress, and who doesn't want that?
This is Patrick. Thanks for listening, everyone. Share this with your friends who need the info, and don't forget to get that FAFSA in by October.
This is Donna. Good luck, everyone. You've got this.